before now. The more responsibility should be on the governor to reach out. Because this is a House of Assembly he never recognized. He said he will not recognize them, even when a court of competent jurisdiction said otherwise. He said he will not recognize them. No salaries were paid for a number of years. No emolument, no allowance, nothing. Then now, even the arbitration panel, that sat and led by Mr. President, gave an agenda for reconciliation. If he had an issue with that directive of that arbitration panel, what stops you from saying, oh, Mr. President, we are good with X, Y, Z, but we are not comfortable with this, sir. Can we make amends here? You accepted all, you signed all. Then you came back home, a group of advisors told you no, that the president cannot give such directive that is unlawful, that is unconstitutional. Then went to court to challenge the process and all that. Then now, the court they insisted on going has finally given an order, which is the final judgment of any court in Nigeria. Then now a group of persons are still opining that the president should step in. I mean, I look at it as a jamboree. That's a big joke display. So the governor should be advised to reach out to the House of Assembly.
Informally?
On a formal, whether formal, informal, he should reach out. Like I said before,
what you're saying
on
is
personal,
that the onus lies on the
on him now to reach out. Yes, of course. Okay. Not the other way around, because these persons are hot. Truth be told, they are hot. You deny them, what constitutionally they are empowered to receive over years, and now they have won in court. Do you expect them reaching out? No. Let's factual. It's not possible. He should reach out in the interest of peace in that state.
All right. Still talking about where the lawmakers are supposed to sit and legislate, and the governor say, trying to reach out in order to probably offer alternate accommodation for their sittings. You recall one of the prayers granted in Justice Omotosho's judgment that the Supreme Court, at the end of the that is still standing. One of the things Justice Omotosho said was that the governor cannot interfere in any way, with their sitting, their plenary, their activities of the legislature. He actually barred the governor from doing that. And that judgment is still very much alive. Right, that judgment is still very much alive. And if the lawmakers even choose, let's not even to open, say, the Constitution, they can also leverage on the judgment of Justice Omotosho to turn down any form of interference on their own part from the governor.
Yes, of course. Even the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court in that judgment went ahead and said that they should sit unhindered.
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 So unhindered.
They can choose wherever they decide. Don't forget, like I said something here before. The Supreme Court also condemned the bringing down of the assembly. Yeah. They called it rascality. So, that is to say, if the assembly is brought down, they don't have a place of legislation. They can assume any address.
As long as they form a quorum.
Yes, of course. They can assume any address to be Rivers State House of Assembly until the assembly is rebuilt completely. So for now, wherever they invite the governor, but in doing that, the place should have a proper address. The public should know that this is a temporary sitting location, because it is our building. It is a Rivers State House of Assembly. And the assembly doesn't belong to the 27 man. It belongs to Rivers State. So if they are sitting in Obiakpo local government, Rivers people have the right to know that from henceforth, moving forward, we are sitting here until our complex is rebuilt. So that address should also be communicated to the executive arm officially, that we are henceforth sitting here until otherwise provided.
All right.
Yes, at that point, the governor can officially visit them.
Okay, very well. Chizi, what do you have to say before we move on to the next?
I just wanted to pick on what you said. You said, well, the court, the Montessori court gives them that privilege, even if it's not constitutional. And of course, he also added the fact that the Supreme Court added an impetus on that, on where I can seek. I can tell you that what the court did was to lift up a constitutional provision for that. Interference is not, you don't need a court to tell you that the executive does not need to interfere on the legislative process and all of that. You don't need a court. But what people see is, for over time, that people have enjoyed some robust relationship with the executive. How they come about it is what you don't know. How they come about it.
The relationship
between them. Let me tell you something. I used to think then, I was not with Wike, now am I with Wike now. I used to think that Wike was a boss man to this assembly. One of those days I went to look for Martin. Then Martin was leader of the house. So early morning Martin asked me to come, and I'm sure that if Martin gave me an appointment to see him by 6 a.m., that Martin couldn't have given me an appointment when he knows that the governor was going to be there. But when I got to the Martin's house, not his official residence, Martin told me I should meet him at Rubigwe. That means his place. When I went to Martin's house, that as early as 6 a.m., I saw batteries of security, and I was like, is this what Martin uses as leader? And I was waiting, only for me to call him and say, I beg, come see me. Oh, Wike left his government house to see the leader that by the grace of God, that God used him to make assembly, to see him in his house. Those are the kind of relationship. Why would Wike leave? Maybe Wike is going to tell him, boy, I'm bringing this thing, people should know one or two things to do. I'm not saying that's what he did. But that relationship, you can visit somebody today and then do some mistakes. That's what people call mistakes, and then they will correct it. So this is what, and then that is Wike as their boss. Fubra is like their peers. Even though it's government, respect the government. But these peers, in fact, they were his boss. They were peers. As assembly member, they were boss to Akanda General. They were his boss. He was answerable to them. In fact, they don't even invite him. They invite the commissioner for finance, who he will accompany, maybe carry his bag to see the assembly. Today you are governor, and then you became too much of a boss. I have said to people, when you give a poor man money, you spoil the poor man. That's just the problem. Because if not, you should have known that these people should be pally. And in fact, these people should have been more closer to you than even they were with Wike and Amechi. Because you are pallies. Oh boy, how far? I could pally this thing like this. Now, in the mix of apart from all of the things that you did while the case was in court, these were your friends. You didn't think of paying them and the allowances while the court is ongoing. No, you didn't think about that. That means you were wicked to them. I don't know what Martins are doing. I can't stand what they are doing. In fact, they are considering us more than that. You were so wicked. You know what that means? What he wanted to do to them is that they shouldn't eat. Their families should die. And they spent money. And these were people who just came from the 2003 elections with the court, their court, the first court of first instance and appeal, the tribunal that they went, had spent money and borrowed money. And I know of my representative Lemchi, Prince Lemchi. I knew what he suffered. In the midst of that, his wife died. The governor didn't visit him. They wrote the governor to say, one of us, our colleague, these people were contributing 20,000, 30,000 to bury the wife of their colleague. So they didn't have money to do all of that. They didn't have money to eat for 1 year plus, and you were taking your own, paying illegally to other people. And today, you cannot call that you want to discuss like you want to dash them money. When the people are supposed to be demanding for some kind of interest on the money you owe them, that you were paying, you were taking out of the money that there was no appropriation, you were paying other people money, and you didn't pay them. Nobody. We were supposed to ask, how are you paying a representative that we elected to meet you? What are we talking about? And they're looking at them. If these people were on personal vendetta, that's the first thing they would have been talking about. How did you pay money? How did you do this one? But they just said, no, bring this thing. Let us take it one after the other. bring this thing. Let us allow Rivers people take their salaries, even though we were not paid salaries. These people were meeting. They've been meeting. Their allowances were not paid. And I think that this is one assembly that has sacrificed for the Rivers people because they weren't paid. And by this, I think they have also shown us that we can have part-time assemblies who can do something and not be paid. Because this will have shown it. And they didn't compromise. Lemchi, Prince Lemchi was asked to be speaker because, of course, when this was defended, they bet him so that he would become speaker, so that the speaker would still come from Ikore. It was against the governor coming from the Riverine, the speaker, God forbid, the quote-unquote speaker, came from Bonnet. And then the deputy speaker is from their place. The leader is from, all of them are the same place. Probably speaking Ibane. And they're talking about this, they're talking about bias. So the guy said, no, I can't do that. That means when this thing happened, some of us went to Lecturer and said, guy, what's up? You would have taken 200 million, you would have been flying around and all of that. And he said, nah, supposing they ask me to pay back, where will I pay it back? You know, all of these things. So the governor didn't even do like somebody who these people before, even if we are having issues. What were did the lady of the sleep with his wife or did he sleep with their wife? It's just a matter of ideology. You know, this is what I think it is. We're in court. If you are in court, pay them. You'll be paying their salary. Saraki wasn't on a good book with Buhari, but they didn't see their salary. They didn't see their salary. Of course, you know that they didn't want Saraki to be there. Code of Conduct Bureau was inviting Saraki, yet the salaries were prepaid. All of that, they didn't see that. But this one, you see that stop the other person like you're a military person. Like a dictatorship, you know, the dictator ruling them and telling them as if you are talking to your boys, you're 8, and now you're calling them to come and beg me. Let me tell you how much I'm going to give you. I see they don't know their allowances and salaries. When you're supposed to be paying with interest. You know what that means? And do you know what they're saying? You're also asking their dependent. You are telling their dependent to mount more pressure on them and calling them to discuss their allowance. So I'm going to pay the cumulative allowance. So go and mount pressure so that allowance will get. That's wickedness. How many people did you call to pay your allowance? How many people did you call to pay the illegal commissioners you brought, the allowances? You bought them vehicle. Nobody's asking you